I want to actually get into this equals project thing, or whatever. The thing about the God thing, which I'm not even sure because I'm not, probably wasn't even paying much attention to a lot of things in the ways I'm supposed to, as to how I'm supposed to do this. But here's my thing about being a Christian. I'm a Christian, okay? In the same way, I'm an American, okay? And that's just the reality of how it is. You know, I'm an American. Let me talk about being an American first. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, USA. Illinois, the 24th state in the Union, admitted into the Union in 1818. I was born several years later. But that's it. And just because of this sort of accident of being born in a certain place, that is what I am. And I grew up in a certain culture, in a certain family, so thus I am Christian. When I die, they'll probably put a cross or some Christian symbol or whatever. Although I was part of a religion that actually didn't believe in the cross. They shunned putting that on it. Though I'm not a part of that religion. I'm not a part of any organized Christianity, anything. But yes, I consider myself Christian in that sense. And I'm a pretty lousy Christian too, because I don't, quote, spread the word, and I don't curse people out for not believing, and I don't disown people if they say that they're an atheist or whatever. So I'm pretty bad as a Christian. I don't believe that people are going to burn in hell forever or float up to heaven if they die and all that stuff. So again, as I said, I'm a pretty lousy Christian. If you ask me to quote everything from the Bible, I can't. Although many times I do read the Bible. I'll flip through it and look at it, and if somebody point out a passage, I'll look at it and stuff like that. So again, as I said, I'm a pretty bad Christian. I'm just not the best of Christian. If I was on like a team, on the team roster, I would be the last. I'd be sitting on a bench. Occasionally I might be a pinch hitter. They might bring me in if they run out of everybody else. They say, well, I guess we got to put somebody in. So there's Philip, bring him in. Anyway, that's as far as my religious goes. It's more culture than anything else. Now, when it comes to religion, there's two ways in which we can be religious, the way I think about it. One is that we can be religious in the sense that of doctrines and books, holy books, and how we're supposed to do it and what culture expects of us. And then there's the other way in which we're religious, which is more like a natural type of reality factor about things. I think about something Richard Dawkins says that I agree with 100%. That religion is a byproduct. It's a byproduct just like carbon dioxide is a byproduct. We breathe out carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide can be dangerous. Usually in the amounts it is in the air, it's not a problem. But, I think about this. There was a lake and people may remember this many years ago because I was just looking at this book about disasters. There was a event that happened in a lake I think it was in the Cameroon, in Africa. And there was a buildup of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, not carbon monoxide. We all know carbon monoxide is dangerous, but we sometimes forget the dangers of carbon dioxide. And the lake sort of had this sort of eruption of all this carbon dioxide coming up from the bottom of that lake. And it bubbled up. And because it's heavier than the air, it sort of went down to the valley, just like, where the people were, and it killed like about 1,800 people died. Carbon dioxide can be deadly. Sometimes when people go into unexplored caves that no one has been in and they have not vented it out, you have carbon dioxide, which is heavier than air. It settles down. I'm talking about this byproduct that can be dangerous in large concentrated amounts. And people die. They say they die just like that. But the thing is also, it can be pretty bad, I guess. There's lots of really graphic descriptions of what happens when you go through that type of stuff. But anyway, I'm not going to go into all that. That's not my point. I'm not here to be scientific. But the point is that byproducts can be dangerous too. We know that. But we know that they are just a part of what happens. It's just what things that come off from us. And religion is that. But so is science. I think people were thinking scientific before there was science. Obviously, there had to be some scientific type of thinking to build the pyramids, to build certain things, because engineering that went to it, knowing what works and what doesn't work, a sort of sorting out and stuff. I'm sure people, they did something a certain way at one time and it didn't work. They said, oh, we won't do that again. Let's do it this way. This works better. So that's the beginnings of science, but it added up. Little by little, it started to add up, and it became something more organized. Same thing with religion. Religion didn't start off as somebody thought, gee, let's create a religion. No, it's just something that built up. And I think that kind of religion and that kind of science, and even with philosophy and many other things, and literature and whatever, all these things are byproducts of the way in which the human mind works. So I'm religious. I don't deny it. And I never will be unreligious. But the truth is, everybody's religious, even if you're an atheist. You have a religiousness. You just don't put the word religion on it. You don't call it religion, but we all have it. Just like we all have a kind of poeticness to it, even if we never write poetry. We all have a philosophicalness to us, even if we never really think we're philosophical. We are. We have a philosophy. Everybody does. We just don't label it. We may not call it existentialism or empiricism or something like that, but we all have it. So I kind of think of myself as religious. The label Christian is just a label. It's like being an American. There's no particular philosophy in being an American. There are Americans who think this way and Americans who think that way. There are Americans who become politicians, some become criminals, some become both. Some people think they're the same thing, especially here in the state of Illinois, and all that stuff. So it's not a big deal. I think that people make too much of a big deal out of particular things. Now, there are things which I agree with, a lot of things that people who label themselves atheists believe. I think that a lot of times people who call themselves religious and who wear certain type of uniforms or collars or whatever, or hats or whatever, get a little bit too much respect. And they get too many little privileges that society has over the years given. And I think that some of those people have too much power. But my thing isn't so much to sit around and talk about what it is that I particularly think, because I think my own opinions are not that important. I mean, that's why I don't make a video talking about, well, gee, this is what it's like to be a Christian, or here's what I do, or I'm going to preach something. I don't want it to be a factor. I just want people to listen to what I say and judge it on the merits of what I'm telling you about something. And you can judge it for yourself. But to make it like as if it's coming from some great authoritative corner of Christianity and one must get right with God type thing, no. That's why I don't want to make too many videos about that stuff. I just like to talk about things like how I overcame certain problems. I think that might be useful. How did I overcome anxiety? Or learning things. I've spent my whole life teaching myself things. I taught myself Spanish. I went to school after I had already learned it. And a whole bunch of other things. And that's what I like to focus on. I think when I got on YouTube, I wound up speaking more about religion than I cared to. But I felt like a lot of people were just saying a lot of things that were just wrong. Getting things wrong. And it was more the philosophical part of me that was more, and the more science-minded part of me that was interested in that. Getting the facts straight about things instead of just saying things because it was just in your feelings. This, all I have to say, I know that this probably just is all over the place, but there's just something I needed to get out. That's all. That's my point.